With Jesus making an appearance in the most recent episode, I figured now was as good a time as ever to ask, is God real in the Rick and Morty universe? For years now, there have been references to him in the show, but I was hoping we could definitively figure out whether or not he is real, using the evidence provided so far by the show. Now, I don't think there's ever going to be an episode where Rick encounters God, like that time Homer did on The Simpsons, but every season of the show has referenced God in some way, so we've got plenty of things to base this theory on. But before we delve into the theory, please leave a like and subscribe. You can always unsubscribe at a later date if you don't like what I'm posting. Completely free and no hard feelings if you want to go. Right, now, I'm gonna sort this into 4 chapters before wrapping it up in some final thoughts. Let's go. Showtime.
It's showtime, folks.
Please, call me the devil.
Chapter 1. The Devil. Why does Rick not believe in God if he's literally fought the devil? Well, the Doctor in Doctor Who also literally fought and killed the devil, but it doesn't mean he believes in God. And just because they both encountered the devil, it doesn't mean they fought the Christian devil. The devil even said in the episode he was in that it was the actual origin of every devil myth. But by presuming that this guy is the real devil, we will be assuming Rick believes that he is literally Lucifer, the fallen angel, and not just some powerful and malevolent trickster. From Rick's experiences, it's easy for him to believe that there is some kind of monster that we humans call the devil, and that doesn't have to be actually connected in any way to what we call God. We've seen that there are dimensions with magic, and the devil from that one episode could be a being from one of those dimensions, or some kind of weird alien, or something else entirely. Some omnipotent being is a bigger pill to swallow if you don't have faith, which we will explore in chapter 3. To add a quick subsection to this chapter, does hell exist in the Rick and Morty universe? Well, kind of. They go to hell in the Cringe Demon episode, but was that real hell? I always thought it was more of a hell dimension, like you saw in Hellraiser. I think maybe there's no heaven or God, and the devil in the show is more of an alien who people build the devil folklore around. And well, even if there is no hell, there was kind of a heaven. Rick made some device that connected parts of Tony's brain and showed him toilet heaven, but it was nothing more than his imagination. So I'm gonna go with heaven doesn't exist in the Rick and Morty universe.
Just close your eyes and go to him in prayer, like this.
Chapter 2. Are gods real? They talk about killing the Christian god in one of the episodes. The decoy episode where the decoys are meant to do Earth-centric adventures. And they die before we really see what they were talking about.
It's a big day. We're gonna kill God.
Come again?
Christian God is real. He's been asleep for thousands of years. We're gonna sneak up there and kill him.
But we never got to see him, so maybe he is real. It did come out of Rick's mouth. However, the real Rick in that same episode comments several times about how God doesn't even exist. Rick has also fought a literal god in the form of Zeus. So Zeus is real, but maybe he's real in the same way that the devil is real, in that he's not a proper god, he's just a magical being, and we just built a load of fictional stories about him. Is it possible that gods do exist in the Rick and Morty universe, but there is no afterlife? Which is why Rick says God doesn't exist, because there isn't a creator of the universe. Maybe that's what he means. Since Zeus is real, and based on the general vibe of the show, I'd say that if there is a Christian god, it's not like the supreme being of the universe, but just some really powerful space entity that used to mess with Earth. And therefore, Rick would, I guess, believe in it. As to whether or not he worships that god, that's another story, one we're going to deal with in the next chapter. The universe of Rick and Morty clearly doesn't have a grand designer. There is no true god. The gods and demons we've seen so far obviously aren't all-powerful, otherwise Rick wouldn't have defeated them all. So sure, some gods are real in this universe, but they're just people from other planets or some magical dimension. There is no grand designer.
Please, God, if there's a help, please be merciful to me.
Chapter 3. Belief. Right, so let's really think about this one. I mean, Brian in Family Guy is an atheist, even though he's met Jesus. Cartoons don't always have the most consistent logic. Usually the writers want the characters to be an atheist, but think of funny plots involving God or Jesus or the devil, and then just include them anyway. I'd say that Rick definitely does not worship a god, and probably even views himself as more powerful. So even if Rick knows that a Christian god does exist, then knowledge does not equate to worship. If you know of the existence of God or gods, it doesn't mean that you worship them. I mean, the biggest point is Rick telling Morty that Earth religions are basically a sham. It's in that one episode where Morty sends an alien to their version of hell. So that line pretty much speaks for itself. On the other hand, you could argue that Rick does believe in God. He prays to him unironically where they broke time, because he felt like he was about to die. Think about that. He believed he could not save himself, but that God could. It also means that one of the smartest beings in the galaxy knows or believes that there is a God in this fictional universe. Of course, after the danger passed, he says it was all nonsense and that he doesn't believe, but perhaps he is simply too arrogant to admit that there is someone more powerful than him, so he won't admit it, but he does believe. But we really need to think about what he does after praying. Once he finds a practical solution to his problem without God, he proceeds to curse at the very same God, laughing at him for saving him and thinking that he, Rick, would ever believe in a deity. Maybe he simply turned to God in desperation like most of us do in times of need. If you're desperate enough, you'll try anything, believe me. Rick and Morty also both start praying to God when they're out of options in the train episode, and they're saved by Space Jesus, who made a return in this most recent episode. But I feel like that proves more about human desperation than it does the existence of a god. My theory is that Rick is offended by the idea of God because of Beth and Diane. Think about how Rick reacts when he made Jerry float. He does it on Christmas. He's trying to prove he's better than Jesus by performing a trick just like the ones he pulled, and taking the attention away from him on his supposed birthday. But why? Who's he trying to impress? I think he's simply angry. But Rick also has a lot of Christian knowledge. A weird amount for someone above all that. I think he was Christian, but then he lost Beth and Diane, and decided that if God existed, then he's just a load of crap. The way I see it, Rick knows outright that God is real in his multiverse, but simply does not have to believe in him, in the sense of, well, what can he do? It couldn't stop the tragedy in his life. It reminds me of the Pope in The Young Pope, who knew definitively that God was real, having performed literal yellow glowing light miracles with God moving through him. But he still didn't trust him. Having knowledge of something does not equate to believing in it. I think that with infinite timelines, there can exist worlds with and without gods. And maybe Rick is convinced that his current Earth is without one. Maybe he's not lying when he says he's not real, because his version of reality doesn't have one. But if I'm being completely honest, I think Dan Harmon simply likes to use Rick to talk about his own atheism, like he does with incest. God, that man is obsessed with incest.
Damn!
My lord, my God!
Chapter
Get
4,
the fuck out of here.
Final Thought. So is God real in the Rick and Morty universe? Yeah, probably. Rick seems to think he is, but he's also certain that the religions surrounding him on Earth are all a scam. So if he is real, then he's certainly not the person humans make him out to be. He's not some omnipresent being. He's just another magic man, like the devil or Zeus. I doubt we'll ever see him, like we did on The Simpsons. But I don't doubt we'll be getting a lot more references to him as the show goes on, because Dan Harmon likes to spread his atheism all over the place, like he's Drop Dead Fred with a load of poo. As an atheist myself, I'm allowed to criticize him for that, I think. I think that's fine. Right then, I'm going to call an end to this video. Thank you for watching, and please leave a like and subscribe. We've got other Rick and Morty videos on the channel, and you can always unsubscribe if you watch them and you don't like them. Or you don't like me, which is fine, I understand. But it's been lovely having your attention for this long, so thanks for checking out the channel. You've been great. Right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Bye, folks.